Hey there, welcome. Jen here, Northeast Ohio, Crazyville. I'm going to talk about a couple of things relating to my personal testimony, but I'm sure that a lot of you can relate to it. And I'm going to leave a link to this video in the description box as well. Everything I'm sharing here is per the Fair Use Act of 1976. Please understand I am not a legal nor a medical professional. If you need such guidance or treatment, please seek your chosen expert in that field. If you feel like you are being abused or you are feeling alone or isolated, call the National Hotline for Domestic Abuse. I'm going to talk about something briefly because it does relate to my testimony and high strangeness both. If you're new to this channel and you don't understand what's happening to some of us out there, this short video will give you a very good idea. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's not true. It was posted 4 years ago. All of this started for me or became noticeable and recognizable around 2017, but I've never really fit in anywhere. I've always been a hard worker. I always got promoted. People didn't like that. I would not falsify records. I would not commit fraud. In the medical industry, they did not care for that. My spouse's relatives are everywhere in the community. One of them is the head of those nursing homes. That's not why I got the job, though. I never even put him on the resume. The rest of his family, one of them can build computers. He has a master's in IT. He built his own computers, Alienware, all that stuff. He's into crypto, does very well for himself. He also built the entire welfare IT system, their server in this area. So they can pretty much delete me anytime they want. His mother works in records and land titles. So she's always in and out of the courthouse. I'm telling you all this because it's very easy to look at someone from the outside and say, oh, you're paranoid. Let's be real clear. To be paranoid, you have to be in fear. I'm not afraid. Do I think that they might do me physical harm someday again? Absolutely. Does it scare me? No, because I know my Lord and Savior. That's why it doesn't scare me. But to be in paranoia, you have to actually have fear. Those of us who are having these things done to us and who are being pushed to the outside of society because we've done someone wrong, we said the wrong thing, did the wrong thing, surrounded ourselves with the wrong people. I'm guilty of all of the above, and I've made some very bad decisions that have me in the predicament I'm in now. The worst decision I made was to move to this area and put myself amongst people that I did not know. They have no ties to me. They feel no loyalty to me, no matter how many times I've babysat their kids, cooked for them, cleaned for them, held them while they cried, fed them when they knocked on my door at 2 a.m. because they didn't have food for their children. Yes, all of these things have happened. They've stolen from me. When all this began in 2017 or 18, my husband accused me of fragging him. I don't even know that term. I didn't know he knew it. See, I'm not real trusting of military. I never have been. The aunts and uncles who were always estranged from my mother were in the military, and there was a lot of weird behavior going on there. And I don't mean like, I just mean weird as in betrayal and that type of stuff. It was always 2 against 1. One person was always left out. If you're a girl and you've been friends with other women, you know how this works. But that's how the whole family operates. So I moved here around a bunch of people who have their hands in every honeypot in the area. Basically their own mini mafia. I'm Italian. I was raised that way. I know how to keep my mouth shut. The problem is that even for keeping my mouth shut, things are still bad for me. So what's the point now, really, in being quiet? Because anyone else who's heard after this point, that's going to be kind of my fault too. You see, they want me to take accountability. Oh, you got to take accountability. I took it. I took the bait. I said yes to things I should not have said yes to. These same people were in charge of me when I was younger, and they would sit me on a toilet with dial soap in my mouth for long enough for me to daydream up stories and imaginations for saying the word no. Some of us aren't allowed to say no. It is brainwashed out of us or trained out of us by the time we hit prepubescent puberty. I'm not saying that these things still aren't my fault and I'm not accountable. I'm just giving you a little background. Why do I do this? Because anyone else who goes through this, again, I'm going to be partly responsible. Yeah, we're responsible for our own choices here, but we're also responsible when we push others or manipulate others into making those bad choices. When this began, my husband said I was fragging him. See, I wasn't even allowed to talk to my family. And his mother and him like to work me against each other like a ping pong ball. Why did you do that, Jennifer? Because that's what your son wanted. Well, you shouldn't have done that. You should have done this. Okay, I'll try that next time. I do that. What'd you do that for? Because you gave me that advice and you're my elder and I thought you knew what was best. That's how this works. And I tell her, several times over the years, I love you. You're my mother. You helped to raise me. I don't love you. I'm not your mother. Go back to your people. Huh. When you're a child of divorce, you've never even seen your own birth certificate, you kind of don't know where you come from. If you don't know the term goyim, look it up. Because whether or not these people are aware of that's what they're turning me into or what they've made me, that's what I am. And that's what a lot of us are. Us Truman who don't actually understand how things operate, who aren't told, who are sat in front of a TV for hours on end, who are introduced to the occult at a young age, right when your mind is open and you're a child. You see, I'm noticing now that a lot of the trauma I've experienced is being spit out into the world stage. I've talked about this phenomena for 4 years now. If this is my fault, if some of this is my fault, then the people who traumatized me, they're just as much to blame. What am I talking about? Let me give you an example. Oh, shoot. I didn't want to do it that way. Abusive techniques. These are all textbook. These people think that they are geniuses. This is all textbook. You can go to the Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, Cleveland Uni, Youngstown State. You can go to Pittsburgh State. You can go to the National Abuse Hotline. All of these tactics are typical. They're not doing anything new. This is what was done to me. And then CV began and it all became even more intense. You see, I know that I'm listened to because I've tested it. I say things out loud. My spouse will come home to let me know that he's heard me. This is how abusers work too. They won't outright threaten you. Oh no, they have to have plausible deniability. I sent an email, we were talking about eggplant. He comes home that night with eggplant. I never had it. That was the whole point. Never had it in my life. He brings home eggplant that night. Well, I just thought it was something different. Oh, okay. I'm not stupid. I even mentioned mental prayer one day and he says, he panicked. Well, I thought God didn't hear you unless you said things aloud. I said, I don't know where you got that idea, but it's my maker. I'm pretty sure he knows everything I think. They want to gaslight you. They want you to think it's, if you believe in aliens, they're going to run with that script. They're going to want you to think it's aliens. If you believe in God, they're going to want you to think it's God. They're going to want you to think it's God punishing you because they want us cursing God. Because this is spiritual too. It's not just real, this world, material world. And that's the problem though. See, everything they accuse you of, that's what they're already doing. He accused me of fragging him. I didn't even know the term. That's what he's done to me this whole time. He told those people I was on antipsychotic meds. I've never been on an antipsychotic medication in my life. I don't even know what lithium is or any of that stuff. I have to ask. I have to look up what benzos are because I have no idea what those are. I don't know what these terms mean. There's no test for mental illness. There's no blood test you can take. They can tell you that you have a chemical imbalance all they want, but they have to do a spinal tap for that, and that is only done if somebody is really losing their mind. And these people know they've done this to me. They know they do it to you. This is their job. This is what they do. This is what they do. People are resources. We are the resources. Wake up. Like I don't understand. Everybody's arguing over politics like they actually have a choice at who their master is. You have a spiritual choice. I'm not going to vote for my own master. I'm not going to vote for them to touch another woman's body or for them to be able to kill a child. Like, I'm not going to make those decisions for somebody else. Why are we doing this? I mean, once you come out of this stuff, like, I'm actually still, like, looking around, everything is insane. It's backwards. It's upside down. Stop for a second and ask yourself, why are you doing this? Why are you doing the things that you're doing? Your everyday habits, your routines, why do you do them? Is it because you want to do them? Because they're good for you and your family? Or is it because somebody else set the standard before you were even born? Is that what you actually believe in your heart is best for your family? They say, well, I can't support them. I can't buy this. I can't buy that. That can all be taken away anytime. You offend the wrong person. You say the wrong thing. You end up like me. And they say, oh, well, you have a persecution complex. You're a narcissist. You think the world revolves around you. No, that's the problem. I am so not special. I am so ordinary that they were able to do this to me because I don't matter. Because I am a peon. I get all that. I know my role. I'm not following their script no more. I'm opting out. I'm not being a part of this. I want to show you something just, again, to make documentation of the things that are going on. If I can do it without stopping the video here. Thank you for your patience if you'd stayed this long. Oops, that's way bad. This happened to me. Everything that is on the world stage since 2017 has happened in my personal, private life. Now, I've went over this ad nauseum in other videos. I don't want to bore anybody. When I started drawing again, that's actually one of my favorite paintings, sunflowers. Oh, them assholes. Just so they can get their picture taken. You need to understand this is repetitive. This is cyclical. Every election, they do this. They get new children, new teenagers, new actors to protest something or someone or some event. And they cover up what's really happening in the world with this news, with these actors. None of this is real. And if you don't believe me, just talk to a 60 or 70-year-old, if there's any of them left, and they'll tell you. This is cyclical. This is nothing new. The only thing new here has been the lockdowns. Everything else has happened before. And it happens, some of it happens, when it's election time for a new president. There's always a new scuffle, a new conflict, a new war, always a new villain, new enemy. There's never going to be any resolution in this place. There won't be one day where they disclose everything. They're telling us things. They're telling us truth. They're just presenting it and giving it a framework and putting the puzzle together in the wrong order and upside down and inside out. When I first started drawing again, and Tattoo Man came around, and he's going to have his own video very soon. When that person came around and my whole life went haywire, I had started drawing again. And there were nights where I would just get screamed at and pushed down. I got pushed down so many times. I got locked out in the snow. I had to sleep in the snow. I got locked outside in the cold at 3 a.m. because he had to have cigarettes. So I went to get him these stupid cigarettes that he had to have. And I get home and I'm locked out in the snow. No coat. These are the things that were done. And still I stayed because I have nowhere else to go. And I knew that if I was on the streets, they could say whatever they want about you. They could say you're a mental patient on the loose. They can fabricate whatever story. My story is probably already fabricated. They've already done something with my life that is not real. They've already twisted it in some way. I know because of all the pictures they were taking of me, the escape room they took me to, this little, the kickoff event, all this stuff. The assault, having to get my ear sewn back on, all of it. People say, well, you're just damaged. You think everyone's out to get you. I wish that it was my imagination. I really do. Do you think if it was my imagination, they wouldn't have locked me up by now? They know that they can't do that with me. Because nobody can make medical decisions for me. God told me to get my own bank account again because he forced his way on my bank account. That was an employee bank account from when I worked at the bank. He forced his way onto that. People don't understand these abusive tactics. Oh, take responsibility for victim shaming is not okay. I didn't ask for any of this. I was a mother. I was raising children. I supported this man and my family for 20 years thinking he had no money and no connections and no prospects. Suddenly, when things start changing in the world, he gets right up and goes to work. Now that our kids are grown and I've missed their childhood, and he's been able to do whatever he's done with their little impressionable minds while I was at work all day. This is what I've lived with. I'm not crazy. If I appear crazy, it's because I'm in a crazy situation. I'm free to go. Sure, I can walk out the door. I can go and I can be homeless. That's my other option, is to be on the street. And I don't care what anyone says. There's no difference between male or female. BS, why do they separate them at shelters? Even families. They're destroying the family unit. They don't want anyone to have these connections. And the only reason the people around me have these connections is because they're useful to each other. The second somebody's not useful anymore, like me, they're done with you. Well, you're just too sensitive, Jen. Man, I wish I could have my tear ducts taken out. And this is happening to me because I have the love of Christ. I can't even conceive. My mind cannot operate in the ways that their minds have operated against me. I was brought to this place, to this situation, because I thought I fell in love. I have no idea how many of these people actually knew each other to begin with. I have no idea what circles were. Do you see what I'm saying? I didn't know who knew who. I don't know who's in a clique. I didn't know who grew up together, jamming together, going to death metal concerts together. And yes, that music can have an effect on you after a while. I know because I live it. I live it. And they want to say, oh, BS, plants. They did a study. Plants, metal was the one thing that got the plants growing. They don't even know what they're talking about. That's not true. It's classical music, actually, and jazz. Instrumental. They don't know what they're talking about. Just like these people on here. Nerve Gorilla. Dude, you're making us look sane. You're doing what you're saying is not happening. I don't know why this person can't get that through their head. You're saying it's not happening, and you're doing it to us out in the open. You, Chief Handler, who I named in my bedroom when this all began, because I don't think you're my husband, you're a handler. Next day, Chief Handler shows up. Literally, and I'm not even kidding. And I've witnessed to that person. Telling him, even Paul persecuted Christians, and he became a saint. This is wrong, all of it. It's all wrong. And I want my sons to know. And just to put this out there, you want to put it out there that I'm crazy or that I'm promiscuous? Anybody want to guess what my number is? Even as a dancer. Who knows? No, I didn't get naked. It was illegal here. What's my number? What do you think it is? Knowing all the things you know about me, knowing how much I ridicule my own self, how much I hate myself for the things I've done. And it wasn't a steady thing. It's not like I just had this behavior for my whole life. No, it was only when I'd fall down. Only when I was being abused, I was neglected, feeling like I needed love and validation. I was one of those people that I thought physical interaction was love and validation. And it's not, girls. Don't be like me. The makeup, the way you're presenting yourselves, most of us worked a long time to get men to not see us that way. And you're undoing all the work we've done for the last century by presenting yourself as an object. What happens when that wears out? What happens when they think it's never going to last, I think that's the only reason there is age and death is to teach us things. Humility. And to put us each in each other's shoes. All these people that did this stuff to me, they're going to have, it's all going to come back. Now, it might not come back in the same way, the same manner, but their hearts are going to ache in the same, that's going to be the same. Because I've noticed that too. Things are equal. Now, granted, I might give more than I get because it's being equaled somewhere else. But there's a balance to things. And when things are imbalanced, you have this topsy-turvy universe. But the TV, all this is lies. I've been showing you that ad nauseum. Even death. I haven't seen one funeral. I can't even talk about that anymore because it's so bizarre to me. Something is just screwy. Something is not right. So yeah, I talk now and I talk about this so that other people don't think they're crazy, so they know that they're not alone. And so my own children can understand the things that are said about me are said about me just to make you hate me. That's why they're said. Some of them may be true, but you don't know what I've went through. You don't know the kind of relationship we had. I was actually told, go be with whoever you want just as long as you come home to me every night. I should have known, right? Like, dude, you don't care. What am I here for? But I had nowhere else to go. I had to support my children. I didn't have anything else to do. That was my goal. To feed them and make sure nothing happened to them. And I failed because I should have been home with them so that their little minds could not have been warped. And I know they're going to resent me saying that, but it's true. I didn't want them having cell phones, not at all. Their grandmother went around me, superseded me, gave them to them. When I tried to ground them, I couldn't take their phones because I didn't pay for them. Then I got them looking and listening to porn. At 14. Even Billie Eilish, of all people, is saying how that messes with a person's brain. It rewires the brain to see women as objects, things to be used and discarded. They did a scientific test and put pictures of women in bikinis in front of men and pictures of tools and tool benches, and men process the information in the same way. This is a rather long video. Thank you for listening. My number, by the way, is 13. Ironically enough, 2 of those were not consensual. 1 of them should not have been consensual. And I would take back every one of them but 1 at this point. Every single one. This is not righteous what's being done. All I wanted was a little job. They couldn't even give me that. All these mothers in the area, for them, my mother-in-law told me. We sat down, so-and-so was here and so-and-so was there, all the women in the family. We don't really, they don't really think I can't remember what she said, but they didn't have anything nice to say about you. We don't really have any use for you anymore. Something like that, to that effect. And every time they tell me a story about my sister-in-law or my sister, I'm noticing they're actually telling me a story about my own life. I don't know why they're doing it that way. Again, this is how I know people are listening. They can't tell me certain things outright, so they tell me a story. How do I know that? Because then it happens to me or I discover it's in my own life. This is not normal. I don't know exactly what's happening for sure, but I know on the surface, it's people being shysty and shady and selling out their family. Like we're literally experiments. We're resources. And once we're not useful anymore, there's a video I shared with you guys too that came out about the same time, about 4 years ago. They gave us signs this was coming. It was a bunch of parents, it looked like the 1950s. It's a cartoon and they're wearing masks, and in the masks they're smiling. But all of the children are leading all of these older people to a pit, a fire, and they make all of their parents jump into the pit. And then it's a society of nothing but young people. They're saying there's a lot of young people passing in this time. I think I don't trust the statistics they're showing either, because the numbers don't jive. Everybody's giving different numbers. One person's saying, we're overpopulated. This person say we're underpopulated. And again, maybe that has something to do with balance. When you have this happening over here, you have to have something to counteract that. Maybe because I became a Christ believer and Christ follower again, and maybe because of all the trauma I underwent, and maybe because of the occult stuff I was introduced to as a child, maybe my trauma was that powerful that it's being spit out into the world. My husband and my son did this to my artwork when I first started drawing again. And I'm pretty good, and it takes me a while because I do like pointillism and minis and stuff like that. And because of confidence, I don't like people looking at me when I draw and stuff, and I didn't really have any privacy at that time. I'm not even allowed to have a lock on the bathroom door. Everywhere we've lived, the door's been busted. This is bad. Like, people don't get it. It's all these little things combined. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I want you to help your neighbor if they're going through this. Help your sister. Don't kick people while they're down. I'm more than willing and I want to work again. I would love to get my bachelor's. I have a good brain and a good mind. And it's shameful that this is happening to me. Regardless of what I've done. You don't want to be with somebody no more? You get a divorce like normal people. But I think his family required that he had children. Again, this is all very bizarre, and I know most people can't fit it into their paradigm that people are treated this way. But there are people going through much worse than me. They would throw water and spit on and tear up my artwork, my sketches, my doodles, my canvas, the good ones, all of it. To the point where now I can't finish any piece I start it and then I walk away and I can't finish it. It's like I'm blocked. They have ruined a good person when they did this to me. Or at least a good asset to my community. I could have done more. I could have been more. I could have helped more. And there have been other tests on me, telling me about a rabbit who'd been run over, making me pick it up and take care of it. And then all of a sudden it disappears. Well, where'd you take the rabbit? I thought you buried it. I didn't bury it. Who took it? And then seeing people that I took care of in the nursing home who allegedly had Alzheimer's walking around at yard sales. Am I healing people when I meet them and they're not telling me? Is this all a set? Am I in some movie? Like, what's going on? I wish people would open their eyes and start observing. This is why they have us so busy. They don't want us knowing what's going on. And is this God or is this something else? God's allowing it, but that's the thing. We have free will. God's not going to intervene if we're consenting to certain things. We have to ask for help. And we have to take action. That's my problem. I don't know what action to take. I pray, and I try to do kind things even for the people who abuse me. And I know that sounds stupid to most of you. But that's the only way I know to take care of it. Is to just keep covering all the things I do. Even just every little thing I do. Because nothing I do is important. Even cooking for my son, I do with love. Yesterday I was told, you don't need to eat that slop. I got chicken nuggets in the car. Don't eat whatever that is. Because now I've started saying no about my body. Why should I pay half of my SSI to live in one room, to take care of the whole house, to do all the laundry, and then I have to give you my body too after you've betrayed me in all these ways? So I say no. So if something happens to me at this point, I have no desire to harm myself or anyone else. I simply don't want anyone else abusing me or touching my body anymore. Ever. I just don't want touched. You have sovereignty. You have free will. If you don't understand the things I'm talking about, listen to this. Maybe your neighbors aren't crazy. Maybe your cousin, your sister, your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. Maybe they're not crazy. Maybe they're just being targeted because they're not working. Because they're not involved in the system in some way. Maybe they're on SSI and they consider us all their property and they can experiment on us now. Do you know what you signed? Because I really don't. I had a lawyer. I thought my lawyer was going to look out for my best interest. Did we sign off to be experiments? I don't know. I don't know, man. Oh, and another thing. It's real sick looking. You have real nerve calling people out and saying they have mental illness when you're doing this to old people. Some old people are doing this. My mother-in-law, she's involved in this. Absolutely. Because of her job and how she drives around all over the place all day. And because how she gossips about everybody. They're forgiven for gossiping. But if they catch you gossiping about someone else, they will go back to that person with the recording or whatever, and then now you have two people operating against you. That's high school. I had girls using three-way calling trying to do that to me when I was in high school. Oh, we got you talking. I said, what did I say wrong? Just because I told this one, oh, I'm sorry that happened. If you need a friend, you know I'm here. I would have told you the same thing. This is because I have the love of Christ, because I don't take revenge, because I don't fight back. They do this. But I'm not going to fight back. Not in the ways they think I'm going to. That's one thing I have that these people don't have, is a huge heart. I still love them. I cry every day over the memories I have. And I beat myself up even though I know it's not entirely my doing, that this was a plan for many years. Regardless of what I did, this was going to happen to me. Because my child turned 18, because they didn't need me anymore. Pretty sure he has kids out there with somebody else, because that's been a trend with the men around him. They all of these men, all of these rednecks. And I was raised in the city. My dad had me listening to Randy Crawford and Miles Davis when I was 10 years old. When my husband would use a racist slur, I was the one telling him, don't do that. Don't teach our kids hate. Let's be better than our parents. But every one of them, I'm pretty sure, is now with a woman of color. That's the Masonic thing, see, black, white, black, white. They're making a whole new world. And if you aren't in one of the groups, then you're not a part of it. And I'm not in one of the groups. I'm not in the Rainbow Club. I'm not a part of a biracial couple. And I'm not at a childbearing age any longer. I mean, I probably could, but I don't. I'm not. That's not an option for me. This is all by design. It was the nursing homes and elderly people by design. But again, is death even real? I don't know, man. There's something else is happening here. And we're going to look into the buried alive things, because I know people are like, wow, what is she talking about? She's nuts. Something is going on. And I got a question for the Christ followers. Okay, so the other thing is, they have real nerve picking on the elderly. There's a woman, and I don't mean to, let me rephrase that. Picking on the more experienced women of wisdom, just because, they are older than us. That woman has seen more life and had more life experience and has learned more about people than you ever will. She's learned more in one day of her life than you will your whole life, because you try to experience everything behind a keyboard. And because you don't appreciate the value of every person, every being has value just for being. Just for simply being. So I know I'm a peon. We are all, each and every one of us, special, and we are all in each and every one of us essential, and we all, each and every one of us, have to sing it out loud with one voice. We do not consent. I'm probably going to have to bust up this video into pieces. Anyways, I don't even know if I'll post it now, but maybe I'll do it live. All right.